amend the 2010 Constitution. But what impediments stand in the way of a likely referendum before the 2022 polls? Tonight on House of Cards, Muremi Mwangi reports on the roadmap to constitutional referendum and explains key factors which could stand in the way of likely changes to the 8-year-old document.
From Third Way Alliance leader Dr. Ekuru Aukot's push to slash the number of elective seats to a maximum of 147 parliamentarians from the current 416 combined members of parliament and senators, to ongoing national debate on whether to abandon the current presidential system of government for a parliamentary one with a powerful prime minister. The question, it appears, is no longer that of if, but when Kenyans should prepare to go to the polls to amend the 8-year-old document.
The sooner we do this referendum, the better for Kenya. In fact, we can even go for, wish by as early as next year, if we can do with this referendum.
There are already different entities speaking, the church is speaking, civil society is speaking. We will need a caucus to isolate the issues. Then once we have clarity on the issues, we can move the process forward.
Article 255, subsection 1 lists 10 matters whose amendment must be subjected to a referendum. Among them, the term of president and structure of devolved governments. Both of these have dominated the raging constitutional amendment debate. Any such proposed amendment can only sail through with the support of a simple majority of votes cast in the referendum, where at least 25% of all registered voters in at least 24 of the 47 counties cast their votes. Experts, however, argue this is only the simple part of the referendum roadmap, the harder bit being the processes leading to identification of the amendment areas and the formulation of the final referendum question.
The process needs at least a minimum of 1 year. That brings us to 2020. But the processes that it involves meaningfully would take at least 2 years. When we were in the committee of experts, we were given a period of 1 year. But in truth, we spent at least 1.5 years. And that was a crash program.
We have no money to waste in any exercise that is not returning. An election at the moment cannot return directly to the economy. As I said, it undermines the same economy that we are trying to build.
Wakati wa uchaguzi wa mwaka wa 2022 tuweke saduku ingine ya referendum hapo. Wakati huu hatuna pesa na hatuna wakati, sababu focus yetu wakati huu ni maendeleo.
It would be wrong for us to wait for a general election to combine it with the referendum, because we don't also want referendum issues to cloud general election. That is number one. And referendum issues should not be used to influence the outcome of who holds what office in terms of president or otherwise.
But the series of events preceding the raging referendum debate is not new in Kenya. In early 2008, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and retired President Mwai Kibaki committed themselves to constitutional, institutional and legal reforms crystallized in the 2008 National Accord as a long-term solution to the political impasse following the 2007 post-poll chaos. And like a history repeating itself, Odinga's March 9th ceasefire deal with President Uhuru Kenyatta also listed the search for a cure to ethnic antagonism among the 9-point Kenyatta-Odinga memorandum, which has since been handed to the 16-member Building Bridges team. Odinga has since been a key campaigner for constitutional amendments to revert to the famous Bomas draft, reintroducing the post of Prime Minister and 2 deputies. A strategy, he argues, is to deflate the heat from future presidential polls. But will this push for constitutional change get the political goodwill, like the 2010 referendum that birthed the current constitution?
But the new constitution, like many other new constitutions all over the world, requires to be relooked at after 80 years of experimentation.
If you tell us that it was agreed in the handshake that there will be a mass referendum, that is not true. If you tell us that we must have a referendum, whether we like it or not, that is dictatorship.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has been conspicuously quiet on the referendum debate, warning leaders against political talk likely to derail his development agenda. IEBC is due to oversee a boundaries review next year, after a national population census by the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics.
On Sunday,
both events, widely viewed as emotive, analysts say will be critical in the formulation of the final referendum question. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News.
Muremi Mwangi, thank you very much for that on House of Cards tonight. So many